Before we begin, in order to be completely present for today's ceremony, Jimmy James has asked me to please silence and pray for those in the house to keep today's ceremony tweet, Instagram, TikTok, and MySpace free. Thank you.
Nice.
stand? Who gives this woman to be married to this man? Please be seated. Friends, family, and Dub. Today we celebrate the best of what it means to be human. Today we celebrate love. We are here today to celebrate the joining of Lady Jennifer of the House Calvi and Sir James Price to be witnesses and supporters of the commitment they share with one another. For those that do not know me, my name is Matt Tepper. I'm a friend of Jen's and the apparent flag bearer for the delegation from the Dallas Blue Jays. An alleged co-ed softball team Jen previously brought her talents to, and whom you and local authorities undoubtedly have become familiar with during our stay at Miami. I cannot pinpoint exactly the first time that I met Calvi, but I'm confident it was at a meeting at the local chapter of the Texas Tech Alumni Association. Also saddled with the burden of cheering for a team fatally allergic to defense, Jen and I quickly bonded over our shared loyalty for the Red Raiders, and it's absolutely no surprise she planned her wedding the same weekend as Tech's easiest game this season. Jen reached out to me shortly after her and James' engagement, asking if I would officiate, and I obviously was more than happy to take on such a responsibility. I'm truly honored to be a part of their special day, and I'm still floored that I was asked, considering the impressive group of family and friends they could have chosen to take on this role. My first introduction to James, along with most of the Dallas contingency, was via Zoom in the infancy of the pandemic, back when we all admired each other's toilet paper collection and quarantined our Amazon deliveries. Jen was gushing over a new guy she was dating, and even used the term "the one" a couple of times. Over a couple of more formal introductory Zoom calls and getting to know him a little better over the past few days, I became privy to the traits that drew Jen to him. His dry wit and sense of humor, his enduring optimism, and his unwavering loyalty to his friends, family, and of course, the Kansas State Wildcats. After meeting with James, it comes to no surprise that he planned his wedding the same weekend as K-State's easiest game this season. All these traits have further confirmed James is a perfect fit for my friend Jen, and I could not be more proud to officiate the start of their new lives together, and to prove that I am not playing favorites today. Jen and James would like to thank each of you for being with them today. They know that making the journey here took considerable effort for all of you, and for this they are deeply grateful. Although many of you don't live right around the corner, you are never far from their hearts. You've shared in their best and their worst days, and you're an irreplaceable part of their yesterdays, their today, and all of their tomorrows. They would also like to recognize all of those who couldn't be here today, as they are certainly missed but not forgotten on this day of celebration. And finally, Jen and James would like to recognize their parents on this occasion. They offer their profound gratitude for all the love and care you showed in raising them. The unconditional gifts of love and support that you continually offered has given them the confidence and tools necessary to enter this new chapter together. As the renowned mathematician Ian Malcolm once said, "Love finds a way." And it certainly found its way through a global pandemic from Kansas City to a small island off the Yucatan Peninsula. But this love did not start on that first date at the Westport Flea Market, where James had Jen head over heels after pulling off the risky, albeit very sexy move of leaving his wallet at home and not being able to pay the tab. High risk, high reward, buddy. Good job. No, this love started in Canyon, in Kansas City, This love found its way through Manhattan, Lubbock, and Dallas, with pit stops at Aggieville, Broadway, and Greenville. It's those journeys and pit stops that led us all to Isla Mujeres today. And while today rightfully should be a day of celebration as you commit yourselves to one another in front of friends, family, and Doug, this love does not end here. Rather, it is the start of a new chapter. Marriage is perhaps the greatest and most rewarding, most challenging adventure of human relationships. No ceremony can create your marriage. Only you can do that through love and patience, through dedication and perseverance, through talking, listening, helping, supporting, and believing in each other, through tenderness and laughter, by learning to make the important things matter and to let go of the rest. What the ceremony can do is affirm the choice you make to stand together as life mates and partners. Marriage is not a perfect beginning. It's not a clean slate. Marriage is part of the process. Marriage is growth. Marriage is a bold step into unknown future. It is risking who you are for the sake of who you can be. And if I can offer my own personal piece of advice, be each other's biggest cheerleaders during the highs. During the lows, remember it's no longer you and I, it's us. During the combative times, seek peace, not justice. And lastly, in all times in between, the grass is always greener where you water it. Jen and James are coming into their marriage with individual personalities and individual journeys. They've already chosen each other for their family, and today they are choosing to celebrate what has already begun and will continue to grow for years to come. It's more permanent than James' perm and has more staying power. And has more staying power than Jen's hand gestures. Marriage is telling the person you love that you're not going anywhere, no matter what, and that's a powerful commitment for two people to make to one another. Jen and James will now exchange rings to symbolize this commitment. Rings are derived from humble beginnings. Hold on, not yet. Easy, cowboy. Rings are derived from humble beginnings of imperfect metal to create something striking where there was once nothing at all. The ring is customarily worn on the third finger of the left hand, as it is one of the only fingers with a vein running directly to the heart. The wearing of the rings is a visible outward sign that Jen and James have committed themselves to one another. James, take this ring and place it on Jen's finger. And repeat after me. Jen, I give you this ring as a token of my love, as a symbol of my devotion, and my commitment to you. Jen, take this ring and place it on James' finger. Good start. Repeat after me. James, I give you this ring as a token of my love, as a symbol of my devotion, and my commitment to you. Two people do not live in isolation. A marriage needs the help of a community, of friends and family who will be there to stand by the couple during hard times and during happy times. Each and every one of you here today will witness the words that they will speak to one another and the commitments that they will make. By our steadfast care, respect, and love, we can support their marriage and the new family they are creating today. Will everyone please rise? Jen and James, I invite you to take a moment and look out at all the people that made their way here today and appreciate the journey they made. Do you, their parents, families, and friends who have gathered with them, believe in their love and you wish to add your blessing to the marriage today? If so, please say, we do. Do you all promise to surround Jen and James in love, offering them the joys of your friendship and supporting them in their marriage? If so, please say, we do. Do you all in attendance promise to get their marriage off on the right track by partying your ass off and tearing this dance floor a new one? If so, please say, hell yeah. Thank you. Please be seated. Jen and James will now declare their love and their intent to commit themselves to one another. To preface this commitment of heart, mind, soul, and body, I will read a quote from the author Robert Fulghum. You've known each other from the first glance of acquaintance to this point of commitment. At some point, you decided to marry. From that moment of yes to this moment of yes, you've been making promises and agreements in an informal way. All those conversations, riding in a car or over a meal or during long walks, all those sentences that began with when we're married and continue with I will and you will and we will. Those late night talks that include someday, somehow, and maybe, and all those promises that are unspoken matters of the heart. All these common things and more are the real process of a wedding. The symbolic vows that you are about to make are a way of saying to one another, you know all those things we promised and hoped and dreamed? Well, I meant it all, every word. Look at one another and remember this moment in time. Before this moment, you have been many things to one another: acquaintance, friend, travel companion, dance partner, and even teacher. For you've learned much from one another in these last few months. Now you should say a few words that take you across a new threshold of life, and things will never quite be the same between you. After these vows, you shall say to the world, this is my husband, this is my wife. If you can keep the vows of commitment you make here today, not because of any religious or civic law, but out of a desire to love and be loved by another person fully, without limitation, then your life will have joy, and the home you establish will be a place in which you both will find the direction of your growth, your freedom, and your responsibility. Jen, do you take James to live together in the union of marriage, to take him as your best friend and partner in life, to honor, cherish, and love him from this day forward, for better, for worse, for richer, for poorer, in sickness and in health, for all of your days? James, do you take Jen to live together in the union of marriage, to take her as your best friend and partner in life, to honor, cherish, and love her from this day forward, for richer, for better, for worse, for richer, for poorer, in sickness and in health, for all of your days? As we leave here today, let us take a moment to pause with Jen and James, to remember the love we have felt and the laughter we have shared. Finally, let us reflect on how we share love with others in our own lives. As Socrates said, the unexamined life is not worth living. And as Bill and Ted said, be excellent to each other. Jen and James, by the power vested in me by the elders of the internet, the Universal Life Church, and validated by the great state of Missouri, I'm pleased to pronounce you husband and wife. James, you may kiss your bride. Ladies and gentlemen, and it is now my pleasure for the first time to present to you Mr. and Mrs. James and Jennifer Price. Ladies and gents, Jen and James, I invite you to now don your Wednesday fiesta and join them in the cocktail hour before dinner.
You don't have to change what you're doing. Not gonna say.
Gorgeous. Okay, that dress is amazing.
Everyone to the dock for a group photo, please, and then it's cocktail hour.